Shalom. Welcome to our Erev Yom Tov and our Facebook talk about Sukkot. The Sukkah, everyone knows, is a transcendental place that God designed for us to dwell in once a year, in memory of the Jews first coming into the land of Israel, in memory of the clouds of glory that surrounded them, the Jews, while they were in the desert, and as a commemoration, of course, of the bringing in the harvest for the year. Now, all these things come together in a very interesting way because God tells us to leave our homes, to exist in a very rural sense, in a grass hut, in some temporary structure that won't hold up all year, that won't keep out the rain and the wind. But it's to, I think, also remind us of those first years that the Jewish people came out of Egypt, living in the desert. They were really thrown at the mercy of God. Everybody likes to go camping for a few days, but 40 years? I don't think so. And the Jews went from place to place for 40 years, living in tents. And the Sukkah was finally the sign that they had moved into the land and they were going to acquire a permanent address in this world. Now, Rabbi Nachman teaches us that the Sukkah, by sitting in this Sukkah and building it, and of course, in all these aspects, we zochim l'shefa eloki shehu b'chinat ruach hakodesh, that a person will merit to divine sustenance and holy inspiration. And we're going to discuss what these terms really mean, one by one. But the Rebbe goes on, that one way of defining it is that we achieve new mental power, transcendental intellect, what you might call your aura. Literally, it means the things that you don't know, you suddenly know them. And step by step, layer by layer, we engage and take into our conscious mind unconscious and subconscious and superconscious ideas that we didn't have before. And these are called the makifim of the moach, which literally means the surrounding lights of the head. That's why all the middle-aged pictures of saints have these little halos walking around. Okay? And the Rebbe goes on, and this type of intellect comes to you without sitting down and learning a lot of books and doing all that intellectual hard work, but rather al yidei shef eloki, from direct divine spiritual nourishment. That all the work a man does in this world, he writes, and these are all the work we do in the world is to be able to attain those lights, those transcendental consciousness that he says is the essential joy and pleasure of the world to come. That man was put here on this world to experience something of the next world here. And that makes a bond between the two worlds. Now, let's go back a little bit and check out these terms. Ruach HaKodesh and Shefa Eloki. Now, Shefa means nourishment, sustenance, life force. When you eat something, you get life force from it. It sustains your body, it sustains the organs, the blood, etc., etc. That's a physical level. But it also, those things help sustain consciousness itself, that you can think and think well. So where's the divine nourishment come from? Well, that, if you want to be precise, that's the power of thinking itself without food and drink. That's the power of your soul without needing the things of this world. It's pure consciousness. It's more refined than any physical sustenance. Another way of understanding it is pure desire. Not desire for anything. Desire for being itself. Now that desire for being, it doesn't require food. It doesn't require drink. It doesn't require anything except being itself. Now, this is an extremely high level, but it is one that we're made to achieve. And you see it most directly when you simply can sit in a room and be quiet and enjoy being. Now the Sukkah is made for that. To be able to sit in this little booth and to breathe deep and close your eyes and comprehend the miracle of existence itself. Your own existence, the people around you, the world, the entire universe is a massive, massive miracle. And being itself doesn't require anything but consciousness. Okay, so that's one way of defining Shefa Eloki. It's also another way to define it is the desire we get to do good things. Pure desire to do good things. Without any calculations, without having other people see me do the good deeds, without people know that I'm doing it for them, all those kinds of things, even without knowing that God knows that I did something good. That's another level of divine sustenance, where you just want to do it because that's what there is to do. It's so profoundly simple. We're so not used to being that simple, because we're calculating all the time. If I do this and they see this, and my boss sees this, and my wife sees this, and they like me more, and it's endless. Called davar. Called ahava shetlui b'davar batel davar batel ahava. It says in Pirkei Avot, any love that depends on something, you cancel the thing that it depends on, and the love disappears. So that could be said about a good deed or an act or a thought. If I'm doing it for a reason other than the thing itself, then I cancel the reason and the thing disappears. So that's one way of understanding Shefa Eloki, divine sustenance. Now, Ruach HaKodesh literally means the holy breath or holy wind. Now, why Ruach HaKodesh? Everybody's familiar with the idea of prophecy, nevuah. Now, one of the main distinctions here is that the rabbis define in the Kabbalah that nevuah has to do with seeing the future, and Ruach HaKodesh has to do with seeing the past, knowing what was in a true way. But Ruach HaKodesh can also be defined in a much simpler way than just seeing the past is a big deal, because there's a lot to see, and it keeps going and going and going. The great rabbis could see what we did yesterday, what we did a week ago, and greater rabbis could see the tikkun of your soul in this world, why were you here, and what baggage you came into the world with, and what you brought with you, and what you left undone from a previous lifetime. These are all levels of Ruach HaKodesh. But there's a simpler level that we can achieve now, sitting in the Sukkah. And that level is the knowledge of what we're supposed to do now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. But when I get an idea, and I know that it's a holy idea, and it's from a good place, and I've clarified it in my heart why I'm doing it, that contains a little bit of that spirit of divine inspiration. Because God, Hashem, who emet, Hashem Elokeichem emet, God, your God is truth. Your truth is God. There's no separation between your truth and God, because He's the provider of your truth. Does that make sense? There cannot be a separation, because if God is not truth, then why do we need Him? And if our truth doesn't have God, we don't want that truth. It's not truth anymore. So they're interdependent concepts that are bound together. Hashem Elokeichem emet. We say it in the davening every morning. So when you have real truth, then you have a spark of Hashem. Now, why is it called Ruach HaKodesh? It's because there is information in the air. Now think about this for a minute. Information in the air. Information of life around you. Information of who you are. Information of who you've been. It's carried on your soul. And since you live in a world and are surrounded by air, you emanate who you are into the world. And so, literally, a person who's refined himself enough can sense through the air who you are and who you're not. And it's on the air itself. Now, if this seems a little too abstract, okay, that's fine. I hear you. But why do we go to the synagogue? Because it's a sanctified space. The air is more purified. And why does Rabbi Nachman say go out to the forest where nobody is? Because the air is purified. And when the air is purified, it's much easier to pick up the truth of that which is around you. Ruach HaKodesh. Kodesh literally means holy, but the idea of holiness is the idea of separation. Separation. You put something aside. You make it special. So it's that special part of you that can pick up the special part of other people and of lives around you and of other creatures even. Now there's an interesting teaching about the Messiah. It says the Messiah Yarach Badan, that the Messiah will have this power to smell and judge. That simply from taking a breath, he'll be able to smell who is righteous and who is not, who is good and who is not. And he'll be able to filter a person's deeds through scent. Scent is riding on holy breath. Now we can see how important deep breathing is, how important breathing is in davening, in prayer, because when you breathe, you're taking information from the air into your mind. And that information is sifted by the nose, by the whole olfactory system, and the nerves are picking up information from there. Just like your heart picks up feelings from the air that goes into your lungs. We are literally receivers of information from all around us, and even from the past and from the future. Because by God, it's all one. There is no past or future by Hashem. It's all now. And when you know that it's all now, the information the information is coming from now, whether it's about the past or about the future. So this is all contained in these simple terms, Ruach HaKodesh, but you see they're not so simple. And the Rebbe is telling us, and all the great rabbis and the Kabbalists are telling us, sitting in the Sukkah is the place God designed for us to receive that. So hopefully that will change the way we enter a Sukkah. When the festival comes down tonight, here in Israel, or wherever you are, you should treat your Sukkah like a Beit Knesset, a holy place. You don't throw garbage on the floor of your Sukkah. You don't leave leftovers lying around on the table in your Sukkah. The Sukkah is a holy space. The Sukkah is a place that, like a Beit Knesset, we're always keeping it in order. We're keeping things in their place. We're treating it like that. And there are many laws that have to do with a synagogue that we can also translate into laws that apply to the Sukkah as well. For example, a Beit Knesset, we don't use a Beit Knesset as a shortcut. If you need to go somewhere on the other side of the Beit Knesset, we're supposed to go around. Maybe you don't want to use your Sukkah as a shortcut. A Sukkah on Yom Tov is not a place to do business deals. It's not a place to speak about mundane things, and so on and so forth. The more honor we bring to the Sukkah, the more divine inspiration you're going to receive from your Sukkah. And the most special time, I tell you, is in the middle of the night when nobody's awake and the world is quiet, and you can actually hear yourself think. You can feel your heart. You can sense the distance or closeness to that presence that is your spark of Hashem. And really, ultimately, if we can just reveal the spark of Hashem that we were given, we're going to be very happy, illuminated people. So this is the work, and thank God we have this opportunity. We have this wonderful festival. Of course, it's a time to bring your friends and your family to sit together in the Sukkah, to sing, to talk, to tell stories, to learn Torah, to bring out new ideas. And that's another way of knowing that the divine sustenance has entered your heart, is because you open the Torah and you see new things, things that you know you never learned before. And that's something that is really the fulfillment of the verse, Tein Chelkeinu b'Toratecha. Give us our portion in your Torah. Your portion in the Torah, only you can receive it. And the only way you can receive it is through that purification of the mind, receiving that holy influx of divine nourishment and power. And then you focus on the Torah, and the Torah comes back to you. It speaks to you. It shows you things you didn't know were there. And it's an endless process. So I want to bless everyone with a holy festival, a Hag Sameach, and to dwell in the Sukkah of all the 7 shepherds, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Joseph, and David. All of them represent different spheres of energy that make up the divine persona, that make up the tree of life. Now, of course, God is beyond personas. He's beyond traits. He's beyond people. But he created each of us a little differently as a collective. And these 7 shepherds represent 7 powers in the soul. So each night of the Sukkah, we're revealing a different light shines more strongly than the others. And so we should merit to even be able just to sense that distinction between each of them. So I want to bless everyone. Give yourself the time alone in the Sukkah, a time in peace and quiet, to sit, to breathe deeply, to inhale the air, and know that there's information on the air. You might not know it. Your nose might not be refined enough, but it's there. And it's not just for any reason that we have this cliche. Something smells fishy. Something smells curious. It's because our noses actually are picking up information that we're having a hard time translating into language, but it's there. And if we do a little bit of the work of just sitting with ourselves, being quiet, clearing the mind, clearing the heart, removing all resentments, all bad feelings, which, ideally that's what Yom Kippur was about, then we're going to be able to receive that life force that's coming from deep in our soul, which is, of course, ultimately the chain linking of power all the way to the creator of the universe. So God bless all of you. We look forward to continuing our talks here on Facebook. Check us out on our Patreon website. We go more into depth and we spend more time with the material. We're continuing our series on reincarnation there. We're going to begin another series the next month on holy creativity and how to develop our creativity. We also, of course, have classes on YouTube, and visit my website for some old classes from the years gone by. So there's a lot out there. We're also publishing another chapter in a book that I'm writing, a spiritual memoir about the journey to be here doing what we're doing. It's a gift. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm grateful to God for every moment, and I bless you with that gratitude as well. So Hag Sameach, all the best. We'll see you soon.